Hey guys, so you're probably wondering why I decided to share an Oscars video despite the Oscars being over. Well, see, a couple of weeks ago, before the Oscars, I actually shot a video sharing my predictions and who I would vote for in the Oscars. However, because of my schedule, I didn't have time to edit the video, and then the Oscars happened. Then I thought it would be silly to post a video about the Oscars since the Oscars was done already. But I asked people on my Instagram story if there are still people who'd be interested about my thoughts, and they said yes, so here we go.
So this year, I managed to watch all the nominated films for Best Picture and the acting performances that were nominated as well in the Oscars. So I decided why not share who I think would win as well as who I would vote for if I were an Academy voter. Also just want to say, my thoughts are subjective. You can have different opinions from mine and that's cool. I just wanted to share what I thought about these films since I managed to watch all of them before the Oscars, so might as well, right? And with that, let's start. So first category is Best Film Editing. Who would win? Probably Oppenheimer. Who I would vote for? Killers of the Flower Moon. I think Thelma's work is amazing in this film. Despite it being 3 hours, I didn't feel the length of it at all. I thought the pacing of the film was really good. Whereas when I first viewed Oppenheimer, I felt like there were some pacing issues with it and certain editing choices that I personally didn't agree with. Whereas Killers of the Flower Moon, there are a lot of interesting editing choices that weren't predictable. And I was hooked from the beginning with this film. Whereas with Oppenheimer, it felt more like a slow burn for me. Maybe my opinion will change the next time I watch it, but right now, I think Killers of the Flower Moon is where my vote would go.
So I got that one right. My prediction was right. Oppenheimer did win. But I am upset that Killers of the Flower Moon didn't win anything, which is crazy to me. And if there was anything it would win for, I still think it should have won for editing as well as Best Actress. Again, this is just my opinion, so feel free to disagree.
Now for Best in Costume Design, this one's a hard category. Right now, I think it's a battle between Barbie and Poor Things. And I think either one, if either one of them can win this, I'm leaning towards most likely Barbie is going to win it. It's tricky because it's a question of, will you go for the one that is more inventive, like Poor Things, or would you go for the one that is based on existing references? I'm personally leaning towards Barbie because I think it's an elevated approach to referential costume design, but you know, either Barbie and Poor Things, I would be happy with a win. Now for production design, I think it's the same thing. It's a battle between Barbie and Poor Things. Who's gonna win? Currently, maybe Poor Things? I'm not sure actually. It's either Barbie or Poor Things in terms of predictions. Okay, this is my assessment. I want both Barbie and Poor Things to get at least something. So if I were to choose, costume design will go to Barbie and the production design will go to Poor Things. There's a chance that Barbie will get both or Poor Things will get both. But if I had my preference, Barbie gets costume and Poor Things gets production. I like spreading out the awards and not just giving it to one thing. Why Poor Things over Barbie? I mean, I love the set of Barbie. I think it's cool, the differentiation between the Barbie world and the real world. But I think with the visuals of Poor Things, it was more captivating to me, the different practical sets that they had. It was a work of art. Each set that they moved through was a work of art. That's why I am voting for Poor Things.
So I got this one partially wrong. I mean, I got it right that Poor Things won production design. Costume design did not go to Barbie. I do think Poor Things deserves the win for both. Like either, again, like I said in this video, either way, I would have been happy for Poor Things winning both production design and costume design. Personally, I prefer spreading the awards around, and I think I would still give costume design to Barbie. But I have to admit that it's really a close call with this one. So yeah, congrats to the Poor Things team for getting production design and costume design.
Now for cinematography, who would win? I think Oppenheimer. Who I would vote for? Oppenheimer. I think it's about time that Hoyte wins an Oscar for his work. I mean, he's been doing a lot of great work over the years and has only had, I think, 2 nominations so far, including Oppenheimer, which is crazy. I think it's about time he wins. So, end of discussion. Now for best sound. Best sound currently, it might go to Oppenheimer, that's my prediction. But personally, I would really want Zone of Interest to win this. The sound work in Zone of Interest is so integral to building the atmosphere of this film. It was so unnerving and horrifying. Hearing the soundscape, the background noises, the horrifying background noises, while seeing the visuals that were very mundane and matter of fact and sometimes even pleasant looking, and even the ability to know how to set up the sound equipment when they're in the house and how they move from one room to another. The sound was so integral in making this film work, and that's why I think sound should go to Zone of Interest. And Zone of Interest was one of the most powerful films that came out last year, and a lot of it was due to the sound work as well.
Okay, pause. I think this is the win that I was most happy about because I was proven wrong. My prediction was it would go to Oppenheimer, but I would have voted for Zone of Interest. And Zone of Interest won! And that was the best surprise from the Oscars, and I'm very happy for the Zone of Interest team.
For Best Original Score, I think it should go to Oppenheimer, and it's probably gonna go to Oppenheimer.
And that it did. Another win for the Oppenheimer team.
I think Ludwig's work in this film is phenomenal. You really feel the power of the score, especially when you're in a cinema that has really good speakers. And I would love to watch this film with a live orchestra. I've seen clips of that, and I think that'll be such a cool experience. Best International Feature Film. I haven't seen most of these, but given what I've seen and the nominations, I think Zone of Interest has this on the bag, and I also think Zone of Interest should win this. Now for Best Adapted Screenplay. First of all, I don't think Barbie should be nominated for adapted because it doesn't have existing book material. I don't know why it's nominated for adapted screenplay. During the earlier part of the Oscars campaign, I thought Barbie had a chance of winning this because it won Critics' Choice. But now I think American Fiction might win. So my prediction right now is American Fiction. Who I would vote for? I think American Fiction also. I think it's a really fun script and the screenplay is so apparent in that film. But I'm also not opposed to giving my vote to Zone of Interest because it's a different kind of screenplay. It's not a lot of dialogue, but the screenplay is important when it comes to the effectiveness of the structure of that film. Now with Best Original Screenplay, I think this is one of the hardest categories. You have Anatomy of a Fall, May December, Past Lives, The Holdovers, and Maestro. Out of those 5, I don't think Maestro should be nominated for original screenplay. I think the screenplay of that film is quite weak. Out of the 4, I'd be happy with either Anatomy of a Fall, May December, and Past Lives winning. Any of those 3, I'd be happy. I think who would win? Anatomy of a Fall. Who I would vote for? Anatomy of a Fall as well. I love the screenplay of Anatomy of a Fall. The thing is, these 3 films, Past Lives, May December, and Anatomy of a Fall, are part of my top 10 films last year. So I'm really torn between the 3. But if I had to choose, I would really choose Anatomy of a Fall. The beauty in the script of Anatomy of a Fall, it's so cleverly written that if you really look at the script, both sides are possible. Whether she did it or not, both are possible because you're offered both sides clearly. It's down to the performance that could possibly sway you or direction. I personally think she didn't do it. There might be people who think she did it, and I understand why. But yeah, it's such a well crafted script and also beautifully performed. For Best Supporting Actress, I think Julianne Moore was snubbed for this category. I think she should have been nominated for her performance in May December. Generally, May December was completely snubbed by the Academy, which is very disappointing. In terms of who I would vote for and who would win, it's clearly Davine Joy Randolph. She has this in the bag. She's been winning everything, and well deserved, because she is the heart of The Holdover. She is the heart of that film. So congratulations to Davine in advance. For Best Supporting Actor, pretty much Robert Downey Jr. is going to win. I do think there are a lot of other performances that move me that should have been nominated and I would personally vote for over Robert Downey Jr., like Dominic Sessa in The Holdovers, the kid in Anatomy of a Fall, Charles Melton in May December. But given this, actually to be different, I would vote for Ryan Gosling in Barbie over RDJ, just because comedic performances like that rarely win. And with Barbie, the best character was Ken. He was the most well-written character, and also the best performance for me was Ryan Gosling in that film. So I would vote for Ryan Gosling in Barbie.
Okay, now that the Oscars are done, I also want to say, having seen Ryan Gosling's performance of I'm Just Ken in the Oscars, that just proved like, yep, I would have voted for him for supporting actor. Happy for RDJ for winning, but I do think there are other supporting actor performances that are better from last year in comparison to his performance in Oppenheimer. Just within the nominees, I think Mark Ruffalo was better and Ryan Gosling's better, and I would have loved giving it to comedic performances for that particular category.
Now for Best Actress, here we have a race. We have a race between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. So Emma Stone has won a Golden Globe, the BAFTAs, and Critics' Choice. Lily Gladstone has won a Golden Globe and SAG-AFTRA. It's the same pattern as last year's race with Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. So given the pattern, Michelle Yeoh also won SAG and a Golden Globe, and Cate Blanchett also won the same categories that Emma won. Therefore, my prediction is that Lily Gladstone is going to win the Oscar, and hey, I'd be happy with her winning, but my personal vote would go to Sandra. My favorite female performance of an actress last year goes to Sandra Hüller for her performance in Anatomy of a Fall. I think she was really wonderful in it. That being said, I'd be happy with Lily Gladstone winning. She's my second one on the list. So either Sandra or Lily, I'd be happy, but if I were to vote for one, I would give it to Sandra for her performance in Anatomy of a Fall. Really powerful performance.
So I got this wrong. I really thought Lily would win. I'm happy for Emma Stone for winning because she did give a great performance in Poor Things. I mean, what she did in Poor Things was very difficult because of the amount of physical work and imagination work that role entailed. I mean, with Lily, the different kinds of grief and the strength and the groundedness and how she holds the camera with her eyes, and her performance is quiet but internally explosive. I mean, it's tricky, right? Do you give the award to the performance that was very grounded and truthful, or do you give it to the one that required more out of the actor based on the amount of physical work and voice work that was needed aside from the truthfulness that was needed? I just find that truthful, grounded work is more compelling to watch. And yeah, that's why I would have given it to Lily and Sandra more.
And now for Best Actor. At the beginning of the race, it seemed like it was a battle between Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy. Now though, currently I think Cillian Murphy's gonna win. That's my prediction. Who I would vote for given the nominees, I would vote for Cillian Murphy. However, my true Best Actor performance from last year was Andrew Scott in All of Us Strangers, and I will forever be upset that he was snubbed not just by the Academy, but by the BAFTAs. His own people snubbed him, and I don't understand why. So if I were really to vote for someone, it's Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers. That was my favorite performance last year. Moved me to tears again and again, and will forever be upset that he didn't get nominated. Now for Best Director, I'm really happy with all the nominees for this category. In terms of who would win and who I would vote for, it's going to Christopher Nolan. I've been a fan of his for such a long time, although I'm not, the only film that I'm not a fan of is Tenet. Sorry to all the Tenet fans out there. But I think this is a well-deserved win, not only for his work in Oppenheimer, but his work for all his films in the past few years. This is vindication for being snubbed by the Academy for Inception. He wasn't even nominated for Inception, which is criminal to me. And so it's about time for him to win this Oscar.
Pause there first. I'm so happy for Cillian Murphy and Christopher Nolan winning the Oscars and also winning Best Picture. Their 20-year partnership has culminated. I mean, this is Cillian Murphy's first lead role in a Christopher Nolan film. And for him to win, and at the same time for this to be Christopher Nolan's first win for directing and first Best Picture win, I love it. Love it. Just a great arc for both of them and their journey together as artists and collaborators.
Finally, we have Best Picture. I think this is going to Oppenheimer. It'll be crazy if it doesn't go to Oppenheimer. Who I would vote for? I would also vote for Oppenheimer, even though it's not my favorite film from this list. There are other films from this list that I gravitate towards over Oppenheimer. But for me with Best Picture, it's down to the quality of the film and the amount of people that were moved by that film. And also the time when that film came out, how it is reflective of the landscape of the world. So given all those three, I think Oppenheimer deserves it. The fact that it's good filmmaking, so many people watched it and watched it for a reason. And I think that reason being, it's just reflective of the time, similar to how Everything Everywhere All at Once, quality filmmaking, reached a lot of people and also reflective of the time. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Oscars. What are your thoughts? Again, these are just my opinions. You don't have to agree with me, but I just wanted to share them.
Now that the Oscars are done, let's tally. So the ones that I got wrong are actress in a supporting role. I got that wrong. Also sound, I got it wrong because yes, I said I would vote for Zone of Interest, but my prediction was Oppenheimer. Glad I was wrong though with that one. I think I got 14. Out of all those categories, I got 14 right and 3 wrong. Not bad in terms of predictions. If we were to tally the ones that I wanted to vote for though, that's a lot more losses. But you know, we don't have to agree with the Academy, and more often than not, I don't. This year actually was less heartbreaking for me because the initial heartbreak for me happened during nominations because of how snubbed All of Us Strangers and May December were. I was more affected by the losses during the announcement of the nominations, whereas last year I was heavily affected by the fact that Banshees of Inisherin, Tar, and The Fabelmans, 3 of my favorite films, did not win anything. But this time it's like kind of worse because some of my favorites didn't even get nominated. But you know, some favorites did and won. So there you go. This Oscar season was less stressful for me. So let's see what's gonna happen next year and if I'm still gonna be this invested with it. Thank you for everyone who watched this video despite the Oscars being done. And if you want more of my thoughts on films and TV shows and acting performances, might make more videos on that if you are interested. Anyway, bye.